what do you think about the team deciding to move on from Gruden?
I mean, I think it was pretty much one of those situations that it was pretty much written on the wall already. Honestly, I didn't think that they'll probably pull the trigger this early because the history showed that that there wasn't a team that did that often, and we had a lot of head coaches coming in and out of those doors. So when you didn't see that, that as something that they did in the past, you thought, well, maybe they'll give them to the rest of the season, and hopefully things get back on track, and or just win some games, and just hopefully, we knew he wasn't coming back for 2020. But to see it happen now, it was just one of them situations. I think it was best for both parties because now you give Jay Gruden a chance to say, "Hey, I can move on with my life and look down the road to be either a head coach again or assistant coach or OC, and the team can really now start saying what's next for us. It's bigger than Jay Gruden. Unfortunately, when you're the head coach, you're gonna take the blame. Everything falls on your shoulders. The same way as a quarterback. When you lose games, they fall on his shoulders. Quarterback can't play defense. I've been saying for years it's bigger than the coaches because I've been in those walls. I've been in those meeting rooms. I've been on the field, and now what's going on since I've retired? It seemed like it got worse.
Hmm.
And I said it a year ago. I said it 2 years ago. In order for you to have the success that some of these other teams is having in this league, you got to kind of change everything. You can't keep patching this sore or putting a band-aid on this sore or plugging these tires. You have to be gone with everything, get new shit. So that's one of the things that I've been saying that from time to time that you have to kind of uproot everybody. And right now, as the head coach, I think down the road when they start looking for the future and deciding whether they're going to get another head coach or not, they got to get rid of a lot of other folks, man. And you hate to see guys lose their jobs. I'm one of those guys. I want everybody to get money.
Mm.
But at the same time, it's a business. And when you're a player and you're not doing your job, guess what? They love you, they like you, but they know it's a business, so you got to go because they got to get somebody to replace you to do what you once did. And that's what I think about this organization. This organization got so much love. I'm still in this area because of the love of these guys from the years before me and the little bit that I did when I was here when we had a little success. And just to see this fan base still sitting here out here waiting and hoping and just hoping that we can be that team again is sad. So if I was a guy in that front office or rather, the president or even the owner, you have to kind of just say, hey man, it was a good run, even though it wasn't, but I gotta change everything. I gotta change the culture
You say
as a whole.
change the culture. Let's do this real quick. Let's make Santana Moss in charge. Where would you start? What changes need to happen for the Redskins to become a viable and winning franchise again?
I need better football minds. I need better football minds in the front office. Honestly, I like Doug Williams. I think he's a guy that you can always have around there because he showed you since he's been back he can be successful by some of the things he does in the scouting department. Um, but I just think as a whole, it's not a lot of football minds up there, and I think a lot of people just doing what they're doing to please Dan Snyder. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that's very demanding, and he's a guy that wants what he wants at times. So I understand it when you have a job and your boss is one of those bosses that you gotta kind of butter him up. You
Mhm.
kind of do what he wants. Sometimes you can't do what he wants. You have to be that person and say, "No, Dan, I understand what you want, but if you have me in this position, you gotta understand where I'm coming from. In order for us to be successful, this is what we need." And look, I like the guys in the training room who take care of us. I like the guys who even who work us out. But when you look at the team in the last few years, the injuries that's piling up, that's not because these guys is going out there and getting hurt. It's because of the foundation they're building. So the weight room comes into play. The guys who's treating these guys come into play. You got to change everything. You can't just bring a head coach in here and say, "Well, these are your guys, deal with it and make this team a better team." And so that's why I say, if you're gonna get rid of Jay Gruden now, but in the future, when it's time to really do what you got to do to get that new head coach, you got to get rid of a lot of other bodies in there, mate, because you can't allow what's been going on for the last umpteen years. You know, I can't even tell you the number of years this has been going on. You can't allow that to keep going on.
Now, I know that you're still very close to the franchise, and we want to tread lightly, but is Dan Snyder the problem?
I don't think Dan Snyder is the problem at all, honestly. You know, and I hear that time and time again, especially in the media. People try to call in on shows and I'm on and be like, F with the owner. You know what I mean? No, he's not the problem. You have to understand something. This man loves to win. This man wants to win. This man spend top dollar on whoever he think deserves it to try to win, to get him in here to win. But what I do believe is that the people around him that he put in place. Because, see, when I first got here in '05, everyone said Dan Snyder was over the whole team. He called the shots. He did a lot of things that coaches didn't want to do. I saw us have success with Coach Gibbs, even Coach Zorn, and then turn around and have more success with a coach and Mike Shanahan, who I love. So I know Dan Snyder had to say, okay, you guys are in control, especially with Mike Shanahan, because Mike Shanahan came in and he wanted to hire and fire and be the head coach. You know what I'm saying? Most head coaches don't have that job. You know, most head coaches come in and say, okay, these are your guys, just like what they were saying Jay Gruden had to do. He had to deal with whoever they brought in. So I know as coaches that come in and say, you know what, I'm going to demand a little more than just being your head coach. I'm going to tell you that I want this guy, and then the guys that I have, if I don't want them, I'm going to fire them. So that's what he needs. He needs one of those kind of coaches. He need a coach that's going to say, you know what, this training staff, I don't need them no more. These other guys, I don't need them no more. Let me bring in the guys that I know that's best, that going to give us the best chance to win. And I think there's a lot of coaches out there. So we need to get back to bringing those kind of guys around.
Is there
I hated the fact, I didn't mean to cut you off. I hated the fact that the Shanahans had to leave, because if it wasn't going to be Mike, I thought Cal had the best chance of giving this team the success that we are earning for. We're sitting around here waiting on. So we just need some coaches with, great football minds, and people in the front office with great football minds to turn this thing around.
is there last question? Is there one guy? Kyle Shanahan, I think, is up in San Francisco now.
Yeah.
Is there one guy that is out there that's either OC or somewhere else, or a college coach, or anyone that you think fits the mold of what Washington needs to come and make those changes you're saying?
You know what, man? There's so many coaches out there. I really don't know. I've been hearing, Eric Bieniemy. I've been hearing bringing, Haskins, coach from college.
Right.
But a guy in mind that I know probably is far fetched. They probably won't even look his way. Um, our defensive coordinator that a lot of folks don't like, who's over there with the Jets now, and his name stays in the media. And I think he had a chance to really be the head coach back in '07, and he didn't get the job because we ended up giving to Zorn. I think he need a chance. He was with the Browns last year, and I've saw him be a head coach in this league before.
Talking about Greg.
Gregg Williams. I knew that even back then, when we had him as the D coordinator, I watched our defense like for years. That one year we had a lot of missing bodies out there, like key guys, and he made us a contender. He implemented what we needed as a culture on that defensive side. It trickled over to the offensive side. We had to play the same way, had to have the same mentality because of what he set, the standards that he set. As a D coordinator, you need a guy like that. You need a no nonsense guy to come in here and say, man, I'm not here to say I like this guy and I like that guy, so he's going to be on my team. No, I need guys here that's going to fight for their jobs, and at the end of the day, the best man going to win it. And if you didn't win, then you got to get up out of here. And we haven't had that in a while. I think the Shanahan was that kind of guy, because I fear for my damn job every week with Mike Shanahan. Shanahan came in and told you, no bull, man. Shanahan came in there and told you straight up and down, like, look, I'm gonna cut guys that might be your best or favorite player on this team. He might not be mine. And I'm sitting there looking around like, well, shit. So I'm gonna be real with you, and it's crazy. One year, I knew I should have probably been gone just from the season I had. I know I probably shouldn't have been gone, but just the season I had, I'm like, man, I can't go out there with that kind of play. I broke my hand that year. I was overweight, for different reasons. I had a lot going on in my life, and I got a call that off season And Shanahan, had already told my agent, Drew Rosenhaus, that I need Tanner at this weight, and if he can't get down this weight, it's not going to be good for him over here. He probably won't, make my squad. That's all I needed, man. That's all I needed, to add the motivation, because personally, I knew I was tripping. You know what I mean? I knew I had a lot going on. So, boom, I did all that. Came back, he looked at me, he saw, he's like, man, you lost 2 bodies. But that's how big I was, but I still produced. And that's what kind of, us as players, we get complacent when you're not your best, but you're still producing. You kind of say, well, I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even though I produced with that weight and the stuff I had going on in my life, he wasn't satisfied because he knew I could be better. And it made me change my mindset. It made me change what I was doing, cut the cord with all the stuff that was going on, leave everything that was messing me up mentally, that was, that I was dragging into work. It made me leave it at the front door. And I came in there with a different mindset. I lost 20-some pounds and went out there and had a bomb, off season, workout, spring conditioning, all that, OTAs. And I was a starter. And came back to training camp. Before training camp started, he brought me into his office and say, I need to holler at you. And I'm like, well, damn, I did all this man still finna cut me. Because I never had to go see the head coach before training camp starts.
Right.
Like, so, and I'm just thinking, the last time I saw a dog, one of my players walk into his office, he was letting them go. So I go into his office and he tell me to close the door. So I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. I just did all this, had this bomb behind, off season, OTAs and mini camps, and he's still finna let me go. And we closed the door and he said, look, you had the best off season out of all the receivers. You still could be a number 1 wide receiver in this league, but on my team, I want to put you in the slot. And I looked at him and I'm like, no, man, I just did all that for you. And I was 20 pounds overweight being a starter last year and was separated from guys. Now I'm back to my size. You think you minimize my my production? And he's like, no, this is what's going to work for you and us. And I took it like this. You know what? He was giving me one of those ultimatums, like, if you don't like this, you can go. But if you like this, you got a chance to be on this team. And so I thought about it. I paused and I breathed deep and I say, you know what, coach, if this is gonna help us win, I'm all for it. I didn't like it personally, but I say, you know what, this is one of them situations that I've heard that he put you in. Now I can sit here and have an ego problem and say, nah, I deserve more, or I can sit here and say, this is this man's team. Let me settle for what he wants out of me and still go out there and be me. I know at the end of the day, when I step on that field, I got to still be Tanner. So I took it. It was one of my better seasons, bro. I went out there, had 8 touchdowns that season, and I was just coming in on third down.
Right.
We had a bomb season. We went to the playoffs with RG3. It was RG3 first year.
Oh yeah.
And that was 2012. And I'm sitting here like, man, I went out here and did more with less.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I shared that story is because that's the kind of coaches you need. You need a coach that's going to put pressure on his players, even his veteran players, his guys who have that mentality that they're the best in the world or they're the star of that. You need a guy that's going to come in here and make you work even harder, make you dig deeper. And that's what we need, man. We haven't had that in a while. And like I said, I like Jay Gruden personally because he's a good guy. But being a good guy don't get you to, win games. And he's had success here. But I think it's deeper than him. And, unfortunately, with the stuff that transpired around him with the injuries, that stuff kept piling up and it's still piling up with the key players being injured. It's just time to kind of, reboot everything, man. Let's how the old computer was. You press, what you call it, press alt delete or something like that to get out of it. You got to just reboot everything, man. And I think it was just that time.